never thought my 48th birthday would turn into the worst night of my whole life. I thought there would be cake and smiles and people saying nice things. I thought my family would be happy to see me. But sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us the worst. The party was at a fancy hotel called the Sterling Plaza. Everything sparkled like diamonds. Big glass lights hung from the ceiling. The floor was so shiny you could see your face in it. A man played piano in the corner. Everyone wore pretty dresses and nice suits. These people knew me as Naledi Kumalo, the lady who bakes cakes for weddings and birthday parties. I had my own small bakery downtown. People came from far away to buy my chocolate cakes and strawberry cupcakes. Tonight was supposed to be special. Instead, it showed me something I wish I never learned. My son Tabo stood on a small stage at the front of the room. He wore a black suit that made him look important. He always knew how to make people look at him. Even when he was little, he could walk into a room and everyone would notice. He picked up the microphone and smiled big. "Hello, everyone," he said loudly. "Before we cut the birthday cake, I want to do something fun." People clapped a little bit. I sat at my table and felt my heartbeat faster. Maybe he was going to say something sweet about me. Maybe he would tell everyone how much he loved me. But then his smile changed. It looked mean now. "You all know my mother," he said, walking back and forth on the stage. "She tries her best. She's always busy with her little bakery. Always covered in flour and sugar." Some people laughed. Not happy laughs, mean laughs. My hands got cold. He kept talking. "So tonight for her birthday we're going to play a game. Let's auction off my mom." The room got loud with laughter. My skin felt hot and cold at the same time. "She's not worth much," Tabo said with a big fake smile. "But maybe someone will give me 10 rand for her. She can bake you cookies or tell you boring stories about the old days." More people laughed. A woman at the next table was laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. I sat very still. When something hurts this bad, sometimes the only thing you can do is sit still and be quiet. I folded my hands on my lap. My grandmother used to tell me that a lady should always keep her head up, even when people are being mean. Tabo looked around the room. "Come on, 10 rand. That's less than a pizza. She'll teach you to bake bread or show you pictures of her boring garden." A few people whispered to each other. Some looked uncomfortable, but nobody told him to stop. That hurt almost as much as what Tabo was saying. My daughter Lerato was sitting 2 tables away. She looked down at her plate. She wouldn't look at me. I could see she felt bad, but she didn't say anything either. Tabo tapped the microphone. "Really? Nobody? Not even 10 rand for my useless mom?" The whole room got quiet, so quiet I could hear my own breathing. Everyone was looking at me now. Some people looked sorry for me. Some people looked like they thought it was funny, but nobody helped me. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. The pretty lights above us looked blurry because my eyes had tears in them. But I didn't cry. I wouldn't cry in front of all these people. Then something happened. A chair made a loud scraping sound against the floor. Way in the back of the room, a man stood up. He didn't look like the other people here. He was older, maybe 60. He wore a simple gray suit, but something about him made everyone look his way. He raised his hand high. "I will pay," he said. His voice was calm, but everyone heard it. Every single person turned to look at him. Even the piano player stopped playing. Tabo blinked and looked surprised. Then he smiled. "Oh great. Finally someone wants to play. What's your bid?" 10 million rand, the man said. The room exploded. People gasped so loud it sounded like wind blowing. 10 million! Someone shouted. Tabo stood there with his mouth open. The microphone fell out of his hand and hit the stage with a loud bang. The man started walking down the aisle between the tables. He walked slowly. He didn't look nervous at all. His suit wasn't fancy, but you could tell it was good quality. His face was serious. He didn't smile. He looked like he meant every word. He stopped right in front of the stage and looked up at Tabo. "I said 10 million rand, he repeated. Then he looked around at all the people staring at him. "But I'm not buying her. I'm buying her time away from all of you. Another big gasp from everyone. Tabo's face turned white. He looked like a little boy who got caught doing something wrong. The man's eyes were sharp and serious. He looked at Tabo like he was disappointed in him. Then he turned and looked right at me. His eyes were kind but also sad. In that moment something changed. Something big, something I didn't understand yet, but I could feel it. Like when you know a storm is coming. He spoke again, but quieter this time. Still everyone heard him. Mrs. Khumalo, when this circus is over, you and I need to have a serious talk. I couldn't breathe right. My chest felt tight. Why would this stranger offer so much money? What did he want to tell me? He looked back at Tabo one more time. His face was cold and angry now. All of you should be asking yourselves something, he said to the whole room. Why would a son treat his own mother like this? And why did I have to be the one to stop him? People started whispering. Phones that had been up recording everything slowly went down. The whispers got louder like leaves blowing in the wind. And right then I felt scared. Really scared, because whatever this man wanted to tell me, it was going to change everything. My life would never be the same after tonight. If you're enjoying this story so far, please take a moment to like, comment and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. Long before a stranger offered 10 million rand, before the horrible party and the mean jokes, there was just me, Naledi Khumalo, living a life that looked okay from the outside but felt empty on the inside. My house was in a nice neighborhood called Riverside. People who drove past probably thought happy people lived there. The lawn was always cut. Flowers grew in the front garden. Everything looked perfect. But the truth was different. I lived alone, not because I wanted to, but because after many years of people not listening to me, I got used to being by myself. At 48, I was a black woman who had worked hard to build my little bakery. My cakes were in the newspaper once. People came from other cities to order from me. But to my family, my work never seemed important. They called it a hobby, something cute I did, not a real job, not something serious. My ex-husband, Mandla Khumalo, owned 3 big car repair shops. He was the kind of man who liked to be the loudest person in every room. Everyone knew his name. He made good money and he liked everyone to know it. He never liked that I had my own business. During fights, he would say things that hurt. Naledi, you're good at baking, but you don't make real money. Took me 12 years and 2 kids to finally understand. He didn't want a wife. He wanted someone who would just agree with everything he said. Leaving him was the right choice, but it made me lonely in ways I didn't expect. Our children stayed close to him. Course they did. He had money. He took them to fancy restaurants. He bought them expensive things. Tabo, my older child, was just like his father in many ways. At 29 years old, he worked at a big company downtown. He wore expensive suits. He drove a fancy car. He wanted to be rich and important more than anything else. He loved me. I know he did. But somewhere along the way, that love got mixed up with other things. He stopped calling as much. When he visited, he seemed in a hurry to leave. And the way he talked to me changed. It wasn't sweet anymore. To Tabo, money meant respect. And because I didn't have as much money as his father, he didn't respect me as much. Lerato, my daughter, was different. She was 26, quiet and thoughtful. She noticed things other people missed. The way someone's smile didn't reach their eyes, when someone's voice changed just a little bit. She loved me deeply. I knew that. But she kept secrets. She would look at me sometimes like she wanted to tell me something important, but then she would change her mind. Around me were the people who kept me going. Mama Gugu, my mother's sister. She was older than me, and she didn't hold back when she had something to say. She was honest, sometimes too honest. She had always told me the truth about Mandla, even when I didn't want to hear it. She warned me about Tabo too. Then there was Thembisil Dlamini, my best friend and the lawyer who helped me with my divorce 8 years ago. She sat with me on my worst days. She told me over and over, "You're stronger than you think, Naledi." We had coffee together every Sunday. We laughed together. We cried together. We made a promise to always be there for each other. And there was Tata Saifo, my neighbor. He was an old man who used to be a teacher. He loved to watch birds, but honestly he spent more time watching what the neighbors were doing than watching birds. He was nosy, but he was also sharp. He noticed everything. Sometimes annoying, but often helpful. These people held me up when my own family seemed far away. But even with all these people around me, even with my bakery and my cakes and everything I had built, there was one fact I couldn't ignore. The people who should have valued me the most, my own family, treated me like I didn't matter. Maybe that's why Tabo's auction shouldn't have shocked me as much as it did. Maybe deep down I knew something was wrong. I knew the cracks in our family were getting bigger. I knew something bad was hiding underneath. Maybe. But nothing, not the times Mandla ignored me. Not the way Tabo rushed through phone calls, not the years of being treated like I was second best. Nothing prepared me for the moment when a stranger said I was worth more than my own son thought I was. That moment didn't just embarrass me. It didn't just surprise everyone in the room. It uncovered something old and ugly and complicated. A secret that had been hidden for a long time. And the question that started growing in my mind that night, the question that still bothers me is this. How broken does a family have to be for a son to treat his mother like a joke? I didn't know it yet, but the answer was coming little by little, dark and twisted, made up of secrets I was never supposed to find out about. And someone, maybe more than one person, had been counting on me never knowing. Before we continue, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below and let me know what you're thinking so far. The strange thing is there were clues before the party. But like many women who spend their whole lives giving people chances and making excuses, I ignored them. I told myself Tabo was just busy. He was stressed. He had a lot on his mind. It wasn't until later that I realized Tabo wasn't stressed. He was hiding something big. Started about 4 months before my birthday. Suddenly, Tabo stopped looking me in the eye when we talked about money or responsibilities. Tabo used to love talking about his job, about his raises, about the new office his company opened. So when he stopped talking about money completely, it worried me. One evening he came to visit after work. He still had his suit on. He smelled like expensive cologne, the kind men wear when they want people to think they're successful. I was in the kitchen making tea when he looked around my house. Not like he was remembering happy times, more like he was measuring it, judging it. "Mama," he said like he didn't really care. "Have you ever thought about selling this house? Maybe moving somewhere smaller?" I stopped stirring my tea. "Why would I do that?" "No reason," he said too fast. "Just thinking about your future. You know, money stuff." Money stuff. The words felt wrong. His eyes kept looking at a frame on my wall. It had a copy of my house deed in it. Something I had hung up because I was proud I owned my home. He had never cared about it before. Then he said something that made my stomach hurt. "Whoever gets this house when you're gone will have to deal with taxes and lots of paperwork. Complicated things." I turned to look at him. "Tabo, what are you really talking about?" He grabbed his phone and pretended someone was calling him. Fake call. My own son pretended to get a phone call to avoid talking to me. That was the first warning sign. The second sign came on a Saturday afternoon. I heard Tabo outside in my backyard. He was on the phone. His voice was low and tense, not his normal loud, confident voice. "No, she doesn't know," he hissed into the phone. "I told you she doesn't know. Stop worrying." I walked out onto the back porch pretending to water my plants. Tabo jumped like I had scared him. "Oh, Mama, didn't see you there. Everything okay?" "Just work stuff," he said. But the way he said it, too defensive, too quick. It wasn't work. I knew it. Then came the third sign. Tabo started showing up at my house without calling first. He would ask weird questions. "Whose name is on the house again? You never added anyone else to it, right? Have you thought about writing a will?" First I laughed. "Are you studying to be a financial advisor?" He didn't laugh back. Instead he looked at me like he was doing math in his head. The next warning didn't come from Tabo. It came from the last person I expected, Mandla. My ex-husband never called me unless he needed me to sign papers or unless he wanted to brag about Tabo. But one afternoon my phone rang. It was Mandla. I answered carefully. "Naledi," he said. His voice sounded fake friendly. "Just checking in. Haven't heard from you in a while." "You haven't heard from me because you never call," I said. He laughed but ignored what I said. "I was wondering, are you dating anyone these days?" I was confused. "Why do you care?" "No reason," he said. "Just thought maybe it was time for you to find someone new." "Find someone new? From what? From who?" Before I could ask, he said something strange. "If anyone starts asking questions about your house or your money, be careful who you trust." Then he hung up. It was the weirdest conversation we'd had since the divorce. And it wasn't over. A week later, after a small gathering with some friends, I was cleaning up. That's when I found something on my coffee table. A white envelope. No name on it, no address, just sealed shut. Someone had left it there. Inside were papers, copies of my bank statements, my house deed, my insurance paperwork, everything about my money and property. Someone had gone through my private information. And they did it quietly, sneakily, like someone who knew exactly where to find everything. I sat on my couch with my hands shaking. I stared at all the papers spread out like puzzle pieces. Why would anyone need copies of this? And who had access to my private documents? I didn't want to think it was Tabo. I didn't want to think it was Mandla. I didn't want to imagine what it meant if they were involved. As I sat there frozen, the doorbell rang. Tata Saifo, my nosy neighbor, stood on my porch. He was still wearing his gardening gloves. "Sorry to bother you," he said. "But something's been bothering me." I let him in. I tried to keep my voice steady. He looked around carefully before speaking. "Last week," he whispered, "I saw a man standing outside your house around 9 at night. Tall dark jacket, carrying a folder. He wasn't delivering anything. He was just staring through your living room window." My blood went cold. He continued. "He was looking right at your desk through the window where you keep your papers. I almost went over to ask what he was doing, but he left before I got there. A stranger staring into my house at night. But why? What was he looking for?" Tata Saifo touched my arm gently. "Naledi, I don't want to scare you, but something weird is going on. And I don't think it's random." Neither did I. Not anymore. Because every clue pointed to one truth. One I wasn't ready to say out loud. Someone wasn't just watching me. Someone was investigating me, looking through my life. And I had no idea what they were trying to find or what they were planning to do with it. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment telling me what you think is happening. And please subscribe if you haven't already. It was a quiet Tuesday night until the doorbell rang. I had been working on a new cake recipe. My kitchen smelled like vanilla and butter. I had flour on my hands and sugar on my apron. For a little while, all the stress and worry felt far away. Then the doorbell rang. Not once, 3 times. Sharp and fast. Froze. Nobody visited this late. Not in my neighborhood. And definitely not without calling first. Checked the clock. 9:38. I stood up, wiped my hands on a towel, and walked slowly to the door. I listened carefully. No footsteps, no talking, nothing. Just silence. When I finally opened the door, cool night air hit my face. The porch light was on. I could see the empty steps, the empty sidewalk, the empty street. No person, no car, no one running away. Just an envelope. A yellow one. Plain except for one line written by hand across the front. "You need to see this. Trust nobody in your family." The handwriting was neat and careful. No mistakes. I looked up and down the street again. Nothing moved. No sounds except crickets and a dog barking far away. My heart pounded in my chest as I picked up the envelope. Felt light, too light. Inside I could feel something small and hard. A USB drive. My fingers shook. Closed the door. I locked it. Then I locked it again. Then I stood in my hallway for a long moment, the envelope in my hand, my mind racing. Who would leave something like this? Why the warning about my family? I walked to my desk and plugged the USB into my computer. I waited for it to load. One folder appeared. Listen to this first. My throat felt tight. Inside were 3 files. I clicked on the audio file. Static, shuffling sounds, then voices. 2 men. Mandla's voice came first. Cold. Familiar. Too familiar. You need to calm down. She doesn't suspect anything yet. My stomach dropped. Then Tabo's voice, worried. I'm not calm, Dad. If she finds those documents, everything falls apart. Sifakazi is already asking me what's taking so long. My breath stopped. They were talking about me. Mandla sighed loudly in the recording. You and Sifakazi will be fine once she signs the papers. That house alone will cover most of what we need. The insurance money will cover the rest. Insurance money. What were they planning? Tabo whispered urgently. But what if she starts asking questions? She's been acting weird lately. Then we move forward with the power of attorney, Mandla snapped. She's exhausted, stressed, alone. She fits perfectly. The courts barely check when it's family filing. I stopped breathing. Power of attorney. Power of attorney. I played it back to make sure I heard right. My son, my ex-husband, talking about taking away my rights, making Tabo my legal guardian. Like I couldn't think for myself. Like I couldn't make my own choices. Like I was a child. The recording kept going. If we get that approved, Mandla said calmly, you'll have control over everything. She won't be able to fight us on anything we do with her accounts or her property. Sifakazi thinks we should finish this before the market changes, Tabo added. Her friend who's a realtor says property values might drop. Sifakazi, his girlfriend. She was involved too. The audio stopped suddenly. I sat frozen in my chair. My lamp flickered like it knew something was wrong. My own son, my own ex-husband, talking about my life like it was a business deal. Talking about my house, my money, my future like I wasn't even a real person. My hands shook as I clicked the second file. A document loaded slowly. Petition for power of attorney. Subject. Naledi Kumalo. My name was right there at the top. Underneath it said, reason for request. Shows ongoing signs of mental confusion, poor money management, emotional instability, difficulty handling daily tasks, needs assistance with decision-making. My breath left my body all at once. They weren't just planning this. They had already filed the paperwork. Filed documents claiming I was mentally unstable, that I was incapable, that I needed my son, the same son who made a joke about auctioning me for 10 rand, to legally control everything I owned, everything I was. I scrolled down. There were fake doctor letters, signatures I had never seen, and a statement from Tabo saying he was worried about my well-being. Worried. That word hurt more than any of the others. Then near the bottom, another name appeared. Filed with support from Sifakazi Ndlovu. So she was part of it. She wasn't just Tabo's girlfriend standing on the sidelines. She was helping him tear my life apart piece by piece. Closed the file. My laptop shook because my hands were shaking so hard. My mind raced. My heart pounded. My whole world spun. My hands pressed against my head. A cold truth settled into my bones. This wasn't me being paranoid. This wasn't me imagining things. This wasn't me overreacting. Someone I loved, someone I raised from a baby, was trying to take away my freedom. And someone else, hiding somewhere in the shadows, was trying desperately to warn me before it was too late. But the darkest question, the one that made my heart stop completely, was this. If Tabo and Mandla were plotting against me, who else in my family already knew about it? Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you would do in this situation. The morning after I listened to the USB files, the world looked different. Sharper, harsher, colder. Like someone had ripped away the safe blanket covering my life and left only ugly truth underneath. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call Tabo or Mandla and yell at them. I did what any woman who has survived hard times learns to do. I made coffee. I sat down at my kitchen table and I made a plan. The first call I made was to Thembisil Dlamini. Thembisil had been my lawyer for almost 20 years. She had been my rock for just as long. She walked me through my terrible divorce, through money fights, through times when I thought losing Mandla meant losing everything. If anyone could help me understand the legal traps being set for me, it was Thembisol. She answered after one ring. Naledi, it's early. Is everything okay? No, I whispered. I need your help. 10 minutes later, she was sitting in my kitchen. She was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. She must have run out of her house. She was holding a notebook like it was a weapon. Her eyes got serious the moment I slid the USB across the table. She listened to the whole recording without saying a word. When it ended, she took a deep breath. This is bad, Naledi. Power of attorney cases are serious. Once they're filed, things can move very fast. He nodded. My spine felt like ice. Then I showed her the document, the fake signatures, the made-up doctor statements. Her jaw got tight. This is criminal, Thembisol said firmly. Not just wrong, not just sneaky. Criminal. Someone is laying groundwork to strip you of your rights. I swallowed hard. My voice shook. Can you tell if the signatures are fake? She didn't even pause. Yes. She looked at the signatures closely. This isn't your handwriting. Whoever did this didn't even try to make it look like yours. She took photos and sent them to someone who studies handwriting. Then she tapped her pen on her notebook. You need to be very careful, she said quietly. Very, very careful. Don't confront them yet. Whoever left you this USB wanted you to know quietly. Let's not alert whoever's watching you. The words whoever's watching you wrapped around my throat like cold hands. Before I could think about it more, my phone buzzed. Obo. I didn't answer. He texted right away. Can we talk today? It's important. I didn't text back. An hour later he showed up at my house. He didn't call first. He was wearing his work suit. He was holding 2 cups of coffee. Mama, he said with a smile that didn't look real. You seem stressed lately. I thought we could have coffee and talk. Thembisol was in the next room listening. I stepped onto the porch. I blocked the doorway so he couldn't come in. I'm fine, I said. He held up the 2 coffees. I made an appointment for you, he said quickly. With a therapist. Actually, my therapist. He's really good at helping people with burnout. I think it would be good for you. There it was. The trap wrapped up like a gift. I don't need therapy, I said slowly. I watched his face carefully. He smiled, but his eyes looked hard. Everyone needs therapy, Mama. Dad thinks so too. I don't care what your father thinks, I said. His jaw tightened. Something flashed in his eyes. Fear, anger, pressure. Mama, he said in a lower voice. You're working too hard. You're not built for this much stress. You need help. My stomach twisted. Those words weren't meant to help me. They were meant to document me, to build a case, to support a claim that I was unstable. I stepped back. I'll let you know if I need anything. Then I closed the door. Firmly. On purpose. Inside, Thembisol watched through the curtain. He's trying to create a story, Thembisol said quietly. A story that you're overwhelmed, unstable, need someone to take over. My hands turned into fists. They're not going to get away with this. She nodded. Then we have to be smart. We have to gather proof. That afternoon, Tata Saifo knocked on my door. He came in with a container of cookies and a look that said he'd been waiting to tell me something. Naledi, he whispered. He made his voice quiet like the walls had ears. I didn't want to worry you more, but I need to tell you what I saw last week. I leaned closer. I saw Sifakazi, Tabo's girlfriend. She was outside your house while you were gone. She had a key. My heart dropped. A key. Tata Saifo nodded. She let someone else in. A man, tall and skinny, carrying a briefcase. They were inside for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. No lights on, no talking. Very suspicious. Thembisol wrote everything down in her notebook. She didn't know I saw her, Tata Saifo added. But I don't like people going into a woman's house without permission, especially with some strange man. It felt like my entire house had been looked at, measured, and photographed behind my back. Later that week, I visited Mama Gugu. She lived in a small brick house that smelled like cinnamon and old books and secrets she'd never admit she knew. I told her everything. I was careful. I didn't mention the USB. Her face went completely still. "Naledi," she whispered. She grabbed my hand tight. "You need to know something. But you can't tell anyone you heard it from me." My breath stopped. "Mandla is broke," she said. "Not just low on cash. Broke. Deep in debt. Bad business deals, bad investments. He's been hiding it for years." Froze. "Your son is his way out," she continued. "Mandla has been training Tabo to help him. And if that means pushing you out of the way and taking what you built, they'll do it." My blood turned to ice. This wasn't about caring for me. This wasn't about my health. This was about money, control, desperation. My family wasn't drifting away from me. They were circling me, closing in like wolves, thinking I was too weak to fight back. But they were wrong. And as I left Mama Gugu's house with cold wind hitting my face, one thought echoed with every step I took. If they were making their move, then I would make mine too. If you're still watching, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below. I truly appreciate your support. For a few days, Thembisil moved like a shadow through my life. Quiet, controlled, careful. She asked questions without giving away what she was doing. She requested documents from the courthouse. She checked dates and signatures. She spent hours on the phone with people who owed her favors. I didn't ask what she was doing. I just trusted her, the only person I could trust. On Thursday afternoon she called me. "Naledi," she said. Her voice was low and serious. "I found something. I'm coming over right now." We sat at my dining table. The same table where I used to feed Tabo when he was little. But tonight it felt like a courtroom. Thembisil opened the folder. She slid a paper toward me. "This," she said quietly, "is the man your neighbor saw going into your house." It was a professional photo, clean, polished, unfamiliar. A big bright smile that looked fake. I read the name. Kagiso Molefe, luxury property specialist, expert in private property evaluations for high-value clients. My heart started pounding. "He's a realtor," I said. "More than that," Thembisil corrected. "He's a private property assessor. Developers hire him to look at homes before buying them. Rich families hire him before divorces and before someone dies." My skin felt prickly and cold. So he was figuring out how much my home is worth. "Yes," Thembisil said. He tapped the photo. And he wasn't working alone. She handed me another paper. An email conversation, printed out and highlighted. The sender, Sifakazi Ndlovu. The person receiving it, Kagiso Molefe. Subject line. Property report, Kumalo residence. My chest got tight as I read. Owner will not know about visit. Access has been arranged. Need full evaluation of interior and structural updates. This is time sensitive. Please have complete report ready by Friday. Access has been arranged. That meant Tabo gave her a key. That meant they let a complete stranger walk through my house, touch my things, measure my life like I was an object for sale. "The report," Thembisil continued. She pulled out a thick stack of papers. "Says your house is worth over 1.8 million rand. Your furniture, your artwork, and your baking equipment add another 200,000 rand. I felt sick, like I was watching someone make a list of my body parts. Thembisil paused. She let the shock sink in. Then she gave me the worst news. Tabo and Sifakazi didn't bring this man just to look around, Naledi. They did it to prepare for a sale. A sale? I whispered. Yes. They wanted a full evaluation so that once the power of attorney went through, Tabo could legally sign over your property. Everything would go to him and he would sell the house immediately. I shook my head. I couldn't believe it. But why so fast? Why is there so much rush? Thembisil gave me a long, heavy look. You know why. Mandla. It all pointed back to him. His money problems, his desperation. His history of pulling Tabo into his schemes. But hearing it out loud and feeling it in my heart were two different things. The betrayal felt like a punch to the chest. They needed your signature, Thembisil explained gently. But if you refused or got suspicious, they had a backup plan. She pulled out another document. Mental health evaluation consent form. My fake signature was printed neatly at the bottom. The idea, she continued, was to convince you that you're overworked, confused, emotionally unstable. Tabo pushing therapy, his comments about stress, those were all part of the plan. My breath shook. And once temporary power of attorney was set up, Thembisil went on, Tabo would have authority over your money, including the right to sell your property to, quote, protect your assets. And the house, she tapped the thick evaluation papers, covers most of Mandla's private debt. Debt you knew nothing about. I stared at the glossy photos of my own home. My living room, my kitchen, my baking station. Everything coldly photographed, priced, turned into numbers that some stranger typed up. My house, I whispered. My life. My work. Thembisil nodded softly. They were ready to sell everything, Naledi. Everything. I pressed my hands over my eyes. I tried to breathe. I tried to stay calm. Tabo wouldn't. I started to say, but the words broke apart before I could finish. Because deep down I already knew he would. I had seen the way he looked at my house deed. The way his voice changed when he asked about ownership. The way his father's approval meant more to him than I ever did. Sifakazi, Mandla, and my own son, planning not just to take my home, but to erase my freedom. My voice came out broken. Thembisil, how could he do this to me? Thembisil didn't answer right away. She let the silence sit there. Finally she said, people do terrible things when they're desperate. But people do unforgivable things when they think no one will ever find out. I looked at the folder again. The fake signatures, the property report, the private emails, the cold evaluation of my entire life. Tears blurred my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. Thembisil gently closed the folder. This isn't the complete picture, she said. It's ugly, yes, but it's not the full truth. She leaned forward. She lowered her voice. There's something bigger under all of this. Something neither Tabo nor Mandla wants you to discover. My heart pounded hard. Thembisil, what could be bigger than this? She hesitated. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw fear in her eyes. We're not just dealing with betrayal or greed, she said quietly. We're dealing with a plan. One that started long before you realized anything was wrong. A chill went through my whole body. The first shock had opened up the surface. But the real wound, the deepest betrayal, was still hiding, waiting to be found. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Your support keeps me going. The moment Dumisani Makona said 10 million rand, time didn't just stop, it exploded. The ballroom at the Sterling Plaza froze completely. Guests froze mid-motion. Conversations died mid-word. Even the piano player hit the wrong key in pure shock. Tabo, my son, the same boy whose first word was mama, stood on stage holding the microphone like it was burning his hand. His mouth hung open, the cocky grin erased completely, replaced with pale, dawning terror. And Dumisani. He didn't look like a man who had just said something crazy. He looked calm, focused, totally in control. A man who knew exactly why he was there. But what froze me wasn't him. It was the figure standing behind the stage curtain. Barely visible, but visible enough for me to recognize him instantly. Mandla. My ex-husband. The man I hadn't seen in half a year, peeking out from behind the curtain, gripping it with white knuckles. And he wasn't shocked. He wasn't confused. He was terrified. His eyes darted from Dumisani to Tabo to me. Not with concern, not with guilt, with the look of someone who just got caught. For one split second our eyes met. Then he stepped back into the shadows and vanished. Chill crawled up my back. Before I could process it, Dumisani started walking down the aisle toward me. There was confidence in his walk. The kind of quiet power that made every single head in the room turn and watch. Phones lifted quietly, people trying to understand what they were seeing. He reached my table. He held out his hand and he said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear, I'm buying her time, not her dignity. The whispers became a wave of shock that rippled across the entire ballroom. Tabo dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a sharp metallic crash. That was the moment the party died. Not officially. The music started again. The lights stayed on. People moved. But the celebration, the sparkling illusion, was gone. I should have felt powerful. I should have felt good watching Tabo fall apart under the weight of what he'd done. But what I felt was dread. Heavy, cold dread. Dumasani approached me after most of the guests had moved to the dessert area. He offered me his arm like a gentleman helping a woman through a storm. "Mrs. Kumalo," he said quietly, "please walk with me. There's something you absolutely need to hear." We stepped into a private sitting room next to the ballroom. The door closed behind us with a heavy thud. The music outside became just a faint hum. Dumasani was distinguished. Gray and black hair, warm brown skin, eyes that could see through lies. "I didn't mean to cause a scene," he said. "Yes, you did," I answered softly. He smiled just a little. "You're right. I absolutely did." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folder. Thick one. "I've been trying to contact you for months," he said. "Your bakery phone always went to voicemail. Your emails bounced back. And someone kept stopping anything I sent to your home." My heart started beating faster. "Stopping it? Who?" I whispered. He shook his head. "I think you already know." I did. God help me, I did. He opened the folder and showed me the first page. Property transfer agreement. Kumalo residence. My breath caught in my throat. It was the same forged signature Thembisil had found. The same fake plan. Mandla hired a team of property specialists, Dumasani explained. They came to us as potential buyers for your property. Your home, your bakery, and the land you own near downtown that you bought 6 years ago. My heart dropped into my stomach. "They were trying to sell all of it," I whispered. "Yes, quietly. At a discount. They needed cash desperately." "How desperately?" Dumasani's face got dark and serious. 6 million rand worth of desperate. My stomach clenched tight. He kept talking. "Mandla got into a business partnership 5 years ago. Real estate development. Very high risk. Collapse. Bad debts. Legal trouble. The kind of disaster that can destroy a man's whole life if he doesn't find a way out. And his way out," I said slowly, "was me. Was you," Dumasani finished quietly. I sank into a chair. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. He waited a moment. Then he added something worse. "Tabo has been working with him. Not because Mandla forced him. Not because he didn't understand. As a full partner." The words cut deeper than any knife ever could. "No," I whispered. "Tabo wouldn't." But Dumasani's eyes said he would. And he did. Mandla convinced him, Dumasani explained gently. Told him that once he saved the family, once the debt was cleared, he'd leave everything to Tabo. He told your son that selling your property was temporary, that you would understand eventually. Closed my eyes. Pain crashed through me like a wave. "He's your father," Dumasani said. "And Tabo wanted to be the hero, the savior, the man who fixes everything. Men like Mandla know exactly how to use that." I opened my eyes. Tears burned, but I held them back. "So the power of attorney was step 1, Dumasani said. To legally silence you while they sold your entire life." My whole world tilted sideways. Everything Thembisil suspected. Everything I feared. It was all just the beginning. Dumasani leaned closer. "There's something else," he added quietly. "Something bigger. The fake documents, the realtor visits, the financial games. None of that was the final goal." I held my breath. "This wasn't about controlling your life," his voice dropped to a whisper. "It was about erasing it. Legally." My fingers trembled. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. Dumasani studied me for a long moment. "Because 5 years ago, Mandla tried the same thing with another partner's ex-wife. And I almost invested in the project that destroyed her life. I won't let him do it again. I stared at him, completely stunned. And then he said the final blow, the one that broke something inside me that would never heal the same way. Naledi, Tabo wasn't a victim. He wasn't pressured. He wasn't tricked. He paused. He was Mandla's partner in crime. The room spun. This was the truth I hadn't been ready for. The truth that cut deeper than anything else could. My son didn't just disrespect me. He didn't just embarrass me. He didn't just doubt me. He actively helped plan my destruction. And for the first time that night, I understood the real horror. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't manipulation. It was a choice. And it shattered something inside me that would never be whole again. Please like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. I didn't sleep the night Dumisani exposed the truth. Not because of fear. Fear had already burned through me and left something else behind. Something sharper, something clearer. What kept me awake was understanding. For the first time in months, maybe years, my mind wasn't confused. I wasn't making excuses. I saw everything clearly, like a blueprint spread out under bright lights. Mandla's desperation, Tabo's ambition, Sifakazi's greed, the fake documents, the secret visits, the auction humiliation. None of it was random. None of it was emotional. It was business. Cold, calculated business. And that meant I could fight back in the one language they understood. Strategy. Not revenge as cruelty. Revenge as truth. Revenge as justice sharpened to a point. The next morning, I sat across from Thembisil at my kitchen table. The same table where so many lies had been revealed. But today the air felt different. Focus strong. We're not going to court yet, I said. I slid the fake documents toward her. Not until we have absolutely everything we need. Thembisil nodded. She adjusted her reading glasses. Agreed. We need evidence so clean that a judge could read it half asleep and still rule in your favor. She opened a file of her own. I contacted a handwriting expert. Your signatures are confirmed as completely forged. The consent form, the power of attorney request, the transfer documents, all fake. That was step one. Then came the next piece of evidence. Unexpected but crucial. Tata Saifo, standing on my porch, holding his binoculars and a folder of printed papers. I thought you might need these, he said. He handed me the folder. They're from my security camera and the neighbor 2 doors down. I already got permission to share them. Inside were clear video clips, timestamps, faces, Sifakazi unlocking my door, the realtor sneaking in right after, Tabo pacing on the sidewalk, checking his watch like a criminal lookout. Thembisil's eyes went wide. This is perfect evidence. I squeezed Tata Saifo's hand. Thank you. Truly thank you. He stood up straighter with pride. Nobody messes with the woman who taught half this neighborhood how to make Coke sisters. We laughed. And that laugh felt like breathing fresh air after being underwater. Step 3 was trapping the liars with their own words. Mandla and Tabo will never confess, Thembisil said. Not unless you make them think they're safe. I know, I said quietly. So we'll give them exactly what they want to see. The plan was simple in design, but brutal in execution. Invite Tabo and Mandla to a family meeting. Make it warm, make it believable, make them think I was ready to forgive, to compromise, to sign whatever papers they needed. And while they relaxed and let their guard down, we would record everything. Legally. With their consent, but without them knowing about the trap. In our province, recording is legal if one person agrees to it. That person was me. Thembisil helped me write an invitation text to send to them. I'm tired of all the fighting. Let's meet and talk peacefully. Dad will be there. Tabo, bring Sifakazi. I want all of us to talk honestly. No blaming, no yelling. Just honesty. Tabo replied in 2 minutes. Finally. I'm proud of you, Mama. Proud. The word made me want to throw up. Mandla's message was smoother. Good. It's time we handled this like mature adults. Mature adults don't forge signatures. Mature adults don't try to steal homes. Mature adults don't use their children as weapons. But I sent back a simple thumbs up emoji. Step 4 was gathering witnesses. Trusted ones. Mama Gugu arrived first. She stood in my doorway like a warrior wrapped in a bright orange dress. Baby, she said. Whatever storm you're about to create, I brought my Bible and my good sense. I laughed despite the heaviness in my chest. Auntie, I need you to listen to everything tonight and stay quiet until I ask you to speak. She squeezed my shoulder hard. I've got your back, baby. Next came Tata Saifo. He insisted on wearing a dress shirt for credibility. Then 2 other neighbors Thembisil had carefully chosen. Calm, respectable people who had no reason to lie. And finally Dumasani arrived. Not as a protector, not as a savior, but as a quiet witness to truth. He carried no power into the room except honesty. I won't control anything, he said. But I'll confirm what I know if you ask me to. Only the truth, I reminded him. Only the truth, he repeated. Step 5 was setting the stage. The same ballroom where Tabo humiliated me would have been poetic. But I didn't need drama. I needed focus. So we held the meeting in my living room. My space. My rules. Thembisil placed her tablet quietly behind a vase. Camera pointed toward the couch where Tabo and Mandla would sit. The audio recorder was hidden in the coffee table drawer. Completely legal. Completely invisible. My baking ribbons were on the wall. The lights were soft. The atmosphere felt gentle and homelike. Nothing looked threatening. Nothing looked unusual. Except the quiet strength building in my chest. Before the meeting started, Dumasani pulled me aside. You know, he said softly, if you want backup I can make calls. I can make this move faster. I shook my head. No. If I win this, I want to win it with truth, not power. I won't become what they think I am. Someone who needs to be saved. He looked at me with something like respect. You're stronger than you think, Naledi. Maybe, I said. But strength isn't enough. Truth is. He smiled. Then let's reveal the truth. By 6:30, every witness was in position. Thembisil sat near the window with her phone ready. Mama Gugu had her arms crossed like she was judging a competition. Tata Saifo sat with his folder on his lap like he'd brought secret files. And then headlights appeared in my driveway. Car doors slammed, then another. Footsteps on the walkway. Tabo's voice laughing nervously. Sifakazi's quiet murmur. Mandla's deeper, confident tone. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. For the first time in this entire nightmare I felt calm. Because they had no idea what was waiting on the other side of my door. And I wasn't afraid of them anymore. They had been writing their version of my story for months. Tonight I was taking the pen back. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Your support truly means everything to me. I had spent my whole life creating beautiful cakes. Desserts that made people smile, made them feel special, made them feel loved. Ironically, tonight I was creating something else. A moment of truth. My dining room had never looked more perfect. Soft, warm lighting glowed over freshly polished silverware. A long wooden table that usually sat 4 was now set for 10 people. Crystal glasses reflected the candlelight. Anyone walking in would think this was a family reunion dinner. But I knew the truth. Tonight was judgment wrapped in cloth napkins. The guests arrived exactly as planned. Mama Gugu wearing a deep red dress that announced she meant business. Tata Saifo clutching his folder like a witness entering a courtroom. 2 quiet neighbors Thembisil had carefully selected. Respectable, unbiased. Dumasani, measured and observant. Hands in his pockets like a detective reading a crime scene. And finally, a tall, well-dressed gentleman I introduced simply as Mr. Bongani, a friend from church. Nobody needed to know he was a financial fraud investigator. Not yet. Then came the 3 whose arrival changed the entire energy of the room. Tabo, smoothing his tie nervously. Sifakazi avoiding all eye contact. Mandla, radiating fake confidence like he'd already won. Mama, Tabo said as he kissed my cheek. This was a really good idea. We all needed this. He had no idea how right he was. Everyone sat down. The first course, roasted chicken and warm bread, was served by me personally. For a moment, the room hummed pleasantly with small talk. Then I cleared my throat softly. So, I began. Before we talk about rebuilding our family, I'd like some clarity. Real clarity. Mandla chuckled and raised his wine glass. I couldn't agree more. I folded my hands on the table. Tabo, why did you keep insisting I see your therapist? You were very pushy about it. He straightened up in his chair. Mama, I was trying to help. You seemed stressed out. Stressed enough, I said gently. To sign mental health papers? Forks froze in midair. Mama Gugu's eyebrow lifted like a weapon. Tabo's eyes got wide. What papers? I don't know what you're talking about. And Mandla, I continued, turning toward him. You promised Tabo that power of attorney would be temporary. Is that correct? Mandla's body stiffened. I don't respond to accusations, he said coldly. Oh, I murmured. Then let's stick to facts. I nodded at Thembisel. She pressed play on the TV remote. The dining room lights dimmed. The screen lit up. Crystal clear security camera footage. Sifakazi entering my home while I was out. A realtor following right behind her with an evaluation clipboard. Tabo pacing at the street curb like a nervous lookout. The betrayal wasn't just visible. It was undeniable. Impossible to deny. The room erupted into shocked whispers and gasps. Sifakazi's voice broke. Tabo, I swear your dad said it was just a quick look. He said. Shut up, Mandla hissed. Don't drag me into your panic. You agreed to do this. I raised one hand. Silence returned instantly, like I had snapped my fingers. There's audio too, I said softly. The dining room filled with voices from the USB recording. Mandla. She's vulnerable. Just get her to sign the documents. Tabo. If she refuses, we move forward with power of attorney anyway. Sifakazi. The house alone could cover half the debt we owe. Mandla. She'll never see it coming. The recording ended. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. Tabo's lips trembled. Mama, please. Dad told me. He said you needed help. That selling the house was temporary. But you didn't ask me, I replied quietly. You asked for my signature. A forged one. Thembisel slid a folder onto the table. Mr. Bongani added another one right next to it. Forgery analysis reports. Debt summaries. Illegal appraisal documents. Email conversations. Financial statements showing Mandla's 6 million rand hole. Mandla slammed his fist on the table so hard the glasses shook. You have no right to. You had no right, Dumasani interrupted, leaning forward calmly. No right to use her property to pay for debts she didn't create. Sifakazi stood up abruptly. Her chair fell backward with a crash. I didn't sign up for this, she whispered. Tears ran down her face, ruining her makeup. Without another word, she ran out of the house. The front door slammed behind her. Tabo dropped his face into his hands. What have I done? He whispered. Oh God, what have I done? Mama Gugu shook her head slowly. You tried to steal from the one person who never stopped loving you. Tata Saifo added firmly. And you thought you were clever enough to get away with it. Mandla's voice lowered to a dangerous growl. This is a setup. This is entrapment. None of this will hold up anywhere. Thembisel spoke calmly, like a surgeon explaining a simple procedure. It will hold in court. And it will hold in public records. We have forged signatures, attempted power of attorney abuse, unauthorized property evaluation, digital evidence. And that's just the beginning. I pushed my chair back and stood up. No anger on my face. No satisfaction. Just quiet, unshakable strength. I didn't bring you here to humiliate you, I said. My voice was steady as stone. I brought you here to return the truth to where it belongs. Mandla glared at me but said nothing. Actions have consequences, I continued. I'm not attacking you. I'm not destroying you. I'm simply stepping out of the trap you built around me. I turned to Tabo. You wanted power, not my well-being. You chose loyalty to debt over loyalty to me. A single tear slipped down Tabo's cheek. He didn't wipe it away. I'm sorry, he whispered. His voice cracked. Mama, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what I was becoming. You didn't ask, I answered softly. You only took. Mr. Bongani closed his folder with a firm snap. We'll begin legal filing in the morning. The room sat in thick, heavy silence. Mandla looked defeated for the first time in his life. Tabo looked completely shattered. The scheme lay fully exposed and dismantled in the center of the table. Papers, videos, recordings, truth. And me, Naledi Kumalo. I exhaled slowly, peacefully. I'm not seeking revenge, I said quietly. I'm seeking justice and restoration. The room absorbed my words like sunlight through a window. This ends tonight, I said firmly. Not with anger but with truth. And for the first time in years, my house felt warm again. Not because of the candles or the food, but because power finally belonged to me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you would do in this situation. 4 weeks after the dinner that split my life into before and after, I stood in the center of my empty living room. Sunlight poured across bare floors. Dust floated in the air like tiny memories of my past. This house had been beautiful once. Warm once. Safe once. Now it felt like a museum of everything I had survived. I ran my fingers over the wall where my baking awards used to hang. Blue ribbons, gold medals, photos of cakes I was proud of. The memories weren't painful anymore. Just quiet, resolved, finished. With one final look back, I whispered, "Thank you. But I'm done here now." And I locked the door for the very last time. My new home, 40 minutes away, tucked beside Clearwater Lake, was a completely different world. Mornings smelled like pine trees and fresh air. Water lapped gently against the wooden dock behind my cottage. Birds sang in the trees. The first time I woke up there, I cried. Not from sadness, but from the shock of how peaceful silence could feel. I had bought the property myself, negotiated the price myself, handled every single document personally. No forged signatures, no fake power of attorney, no shadows hiding in my own life. Just mine, fully mine. The business came next. Kumalo's Creations. A small custom bakery specializing in luxury wedding cakes and celebration desserts. I didn't advertise at first. I didn't need to. A week after I moved in, Dumisani called. "I recommended you to a client," he said. "She's planning a lakeside wedding. Very high profile, very private. She saw your work and loved it." I blinked in surprise. "Dumisani, I didn't ask you to do that." He chuckled. "I know. But I pointed the right people your way. You earned everything after that." And the orders came. And more. Then even more. A food magazine contacted me for a feature article. One of the city's biggest event planners asked me to be her exclusive baker. My waiting list grew to 4 months long. Success flowed toward me like it had only been waiting for me to clear space for it. I didn't date Dumisani. I made that boundary early, firmly, and kindly. But he became a trusted friend. The kind who checked on my progress, sent business referrals, and reminded me that my worth didn't need validation from anyone who shared my blood. As my life grew stable and bright, Tabo's life fell apart. The power of attorney attempt had reached his company's ethics board. He wasn't fired, but he was removed from all leadership opportunities indefinitely. Sifakazi disappeared completely. Blocked him, moved out, stopped answering any messages. As for Mandla, he was now facing a long, complicated legal process. Thembisil handled everything without me needing to lift a finger. I didn't celebrate any of it. I didn't gloat or feel satisfaction. I simply moved forward. Living well, standing tall, breathing freely. That was my victory. Then came the twist I never saw coming. The one that didn't arrive in a courtroom or a dining room full of shocked witnesses. It arrived quietly on a peaceful Wednesday afternoon by the lake. I was organizing new baking supplies in my studio when there was a soft, hesitant knock on the door. "Mama, can we please talk?" Loretto. My gentle, soft-spoken, thoughtful daughter. The child who rarely raised her voice, rarely demanded anything, rarely stepped into the spotlight. I opened the door and hugged her before she even finished speaking. Loretto hugged me back tightly, like she'd been holding something heavy inside for too long. We sat by the window overlooking the water. For a long moment, Loretto twisted a bracelet on her wrist, choosing her words carefully, nervously. "Mama, I need to tell you something," she said quietly. "And you might be upset with me." I took her hand gently. "Whatever it is, sweetheart, I'm listening." Loretto took a shaky breath. "The USB. The one you found on your doorstep." Her voice trembled. "I'm the one who sent it." My breath caught in my throat. "What?" "I recorded the audio. Copied the files. I left it for you anonymously because," her eyes filled with tears, "I didn't know what would happen if they found out it was me." My heart clenched. Not with anger. With overwhelming sadness. "Loretto, why didn't you tell me sooner?" Loretto wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. "Because part of me hoped Tabo would stop. That he'd wake up and realize what he was doing before it went too far. He's my brother, Mama. I didn't want to destroy him. I didn't want to pick sides." A long, heavy silence filled the room. Deeper than anything in the past month. I stared out at the lake. Ripples spreading across the surface like consequences moving through a family. When I finally spoke, my voice was soft but honest. "You protected me. And you protected yourself. I understand that. But I didn't protect you soon enough," Loretto whispered. "I should have told you earlier. I should have done more." I pulled her into a tight hug. "I'm hurt," I whispered into her hair. "But I'm also grateful. And I'm proud of you. You acted with a conscience even when you were scared." Loretto cried quietly, her shoulders shaking. "Do you forgive me?" I didn't answer immediately. My forgiveness wasn't cheap. My wounds weren't shallow. After a long, thoughtful moment, I kissed her forehead. "I'm working on it," I said honestly. "And that's the truth I can give you right now." The honesty between us, a mother choosing truth, a daughter choosing courage, was more powerful than any dramatic revelation. As we sat side by side, watching the golden afternoon sun shimmer on the lake, my old life, full of control, lies, and invisible wounds, felt miles and miles away. Here I wasn't someone's ex-wife. Not someone's target. Not someone's afterthought. I was myself. Fully, finally, completely. And yet one final question lingered. Quiet, compelling, unresolved question. I now turn toward you. If you were in my place, would you choose complete forgiveness or would you choose permanent distance? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.